Sometimes when you read a book, you come out of it and you go, cute, very cute. And sometimes you go, what the heck? Hello, my name is Floss, and this is the Grape Jelly Library, where we love to talk about books. Today we are going to talk about 2 of the 7 of the 50 books that I have read in the Read What You Own book challenge. The first book we're going to discuss is a book that is not so mainstream. Actually, not a lot of discussion is out there pertaining to this book, but it's a very relevant book. Back in the 90s, identity theft was almost impossible to find out who the culprit was. Today, it's a little bit easier. But back in the day, really, the authorities and the banks had nowhere to go because the information and the tools and the resources just were not available to us back then like they are today. A family by the name of the Betzes had their identity compromised. So pretty much little Axton grew up familiar with identity theft and what it is. And truthfully, no 6-7-year-old girl should, or child should, know what that is. However, that was not the case for Axton. Quite often they would have to go without power or water or what have you. When Axton turned 11, her grandfather passed away, and so they went to reside on his farm. And it was believed that perhaps in an act of revenge or jealousy that little Axton's identity began to become compromised as well. Later on, when Axton went to college, typical, you call your utility company up and you ask them to turn on your services. Axton was required to put down a deposit, and she wasn't quite sure why. She thought maybe it was because she didn't have enough credit established. In running her credit report, she discovered that her credit was overextended. The whole identity theft issue was enough to provoke Axton to go on into her educational years and pursue identity theft as a career. She became a specialist in it, and she does give lectures on how to prevent yourself from being a victim of it. Sadly for Axton, she never did get closure on it. Years have passed and she has repaired her credit, but it was an ordeal and it was not a fun ride. However, with that said, I chose to read this book because I did see it at my local bookstore about 2 short years ago. I just chose not to dive in. I don't think that the timing was right. Perhaps the timing was right now. I can't really say for sure why I picked this book up. It was in my Audible library, so that could have been a good reason for me to get to it, as I am participating in the challenge of Read What You Own. I'm glad that I read it. It was enough of a story to keep me engaged, and I sympathized with this little one. I couldn't imagine. If you choose to read this, when you discover who the actual culprit is, it's pretty revealing right from the get-go. I'm just not going to say a word about who it is. For those of you who do want to take this journey, I don't want to ruin that experience for you. You might not know anything about this story, or you might have heard about it on your local news, especially if you're from the Indiana area. But I don't believe enough is said about this young lady's story. If you have the time and the ambition, and you are like myself, a lover of nonfiction, then I would say for sure pick this one up. It's definitely worth the read, and it's actually stunning when it's revealed who the culprit actually is, and the lengths that this person would go to in order to keep their identity protected and hidden, whilst knowingly and purposely sabotaging the identities of others. The second book that I read is The Christmas Cafe. Now, this is the book, obviously, that I say cute, very cute. It is a rom-com, and I don't generate towards that type of read. I'm not your Hallmark holiday channel viewer, lover, or even liker. But I will read a book upon the holiday season that is kind of cute and cozy and quaint and cookie cutter. You know, it's the same kind of story, just with different characters, maybe a plot twist, maybe a little bit of different magic sprinkled throughout. But I did pick this up. I guess I was in a festive mood, and I knew right around the week of Christmas I would be looking for something kind of whimsical to read. And so I picked this one up. I did go ahead and prematurely read it. I have another book that I have my eye on for the week of Christmas. But anyways, I picked this up because I liked the cover of this, and it's funny that I would say this is a cookie cutter storyline, and it is, but I thought, oh, that's ironic because there's cookies all on the cover, cookies of the main characters of the story, and I think, you know, that is so cute. It's those popular cookies we see everywhere that are perfectly iced, right down to the very last details of the, I don't know, outlines of their cheeks. You know, you see those cookies everywhere, and they go through the whole spiel of making them as lifelike as possible. I thought, oh, that's cute. You know, cookies, cookie cutter storyline, whatever. It's okay that it is a storyline that's somewhat predictable. This is Eliza Evans's debut novel, and I can honestly say that I see a future in wordsmithing for Eliza. She weaves a tapestry of words in a way that puts us in the storyline. I almost wished I lived in Silver Bells, Wyoming, with its elaborate, decked out halls. This is a town that, for those who are a little bit struggling, they might not have the funds to decorate. Other towns, people gather together and they do the decorating for them to ensure that every property in Jingle Bells is decorated and decked out, and they just help one another out the best they can. Sylvie is our main character, and she works at the Christmas Cafe, and the Christmas Cafe is being threatened with a sale. The owner of it no longer wants to be footing these bills and does not see a future for it, so he wants to unload it. Sylvie is absolutely in love with her job and her workplace, and she doesn't want it to go up for sale. So in a last-ditch effort, she's going to try to do everything she can to populate the cafe as it once was in days gone by. So we have Sylvie, who lives with her grandpa, who is recently widowed, and Sylvie's adorable and mischievous Chihuahua pug dog named Crumpet. Well, one day Sylvie's grandpa was walking in the door from getting the newspaper and coffee, and Crumpet stole an article of clothing of Sylvie's and dashed out the door and almost onto the road, causing an accident. That's when Royce, who happens to be charming and witty and a good listener, and he's an actor, and he's just all the things we could ever want, he puts on the brakes, jumps out of his car, and scoops this little mischievous puppy up in his arms. Sylvie comes out to recapture her dog, and that is when a possible romance begins to blossom. In the meantime, is Sylvie's best friend, Abe, who's right there under her nose all along, somehow sparks a love interest within her that she didn't know was there. So I would say it's a cute, comfy, cozy, quick, feel-good holiday read, and I do think you should put it on your reading list, especially if you love Christmas reads, especially if you love rom-coms, and especially if you like to laugh. I don't usually laugh while reading romance comedies, but this one I actually did. I did laugh out loud, and I laughed for a good solid minute when I encountered this one incident that occurs, I think it's within the first 30 or 40 pages of the book, and I actually said to myself, wow, look at me, I am actually laughing at this. So I do think that Eliza is a wonderful new author, and I do think that you should give her debut novel a try. If at the end of your day or the end of your week you're feeling a little exhausted or overwhelmed from the hustle and bustle of the holiday, then I would say put this one on your reading list. It's the perfect book to cozy up to a fire with a hot chocolate and some perfectly decorated Christmas cookies and jump into this very fun holiday read. Until my next video, know that I love you. Be well, be good, be reading, and may all your dreams come true.